One common problem I see quite often with Defenders and Discos is sometimes the owners never use the high and low shifter. They never put it into high or low range. They don't really know what it's for half the time, but that knob on the next to the gearbox looks really cool, you know, another gearbox sort of thing. So I get quite often these little problems here, and the shaft seizes up in here. Now this has been off before because somebody's made a half-assed job of putting this clip on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all to bits, and we're going to just free it off and put a new O-ring on, because sometimes the O-rings do fail here, and we've found out with the smoke tester that it can let oil leak out of here just a little bit. But yeah, I know it's yet another oil leak. But sometimes if you're sort of playing around with this high and low diff lock switch here, it's sometimes worth having a look at this. And like I said, this is a problem on the high and lows, and also especially on the old Disco ones, was the actual shifter actuator itself was all seized up. You know, they would never bloody work because nobody had ever used them. So let's pull this off and let's see what's inside. I've already freed this one. You can see you can already see corrosion on this bolt. So let's tap that off. Let me find a hammer here. What was a hammer handy? Ooh. I think I might have to try and wedge that off a little bit. Wait a minute. So I used a pry bar at the back of here, and I just pushed it like that, and off it came. So let's take the bolts out. All the bolts are the same size, same length. You don't have to worry about that. And this is exactly what I was saying about, look. You see, solid. See? It won't move. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to take off this little clip. Take out the pin. Probably won't come out. Give it a helping hand. Oh, I'll tell you something, these things never get a bit of oil or anything. It's really sad. So there's two plastic bushings in here. Take those out. Just check, make sure they're not worn. If they're not worn out, well, they're not going to get worn out, are they? Because they never get used. But if they're worn, broken, replace them. They're only cheap. So what we're going to do now is take that grub screw out of there. I think the Americans call them a set screw. Anything to be different, eh? So we're going to take that out, and you can see the actual screws loose on the shaft. So that's not a good sign. We're going to Loctite that when we put it back together. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and punch that shaft out and get it out. Now there is an O-ring in there, and we're going to replace the O-ring. I've just pulled the shaft out a little bit, and you can see the extent of the corrosion. It isn't much, but it's right on the end, just after the O-ring on the outside of here. You know, sometimes Land Rovers leak a lot of oil, but they never leak oil where you want them to leak, so things free up. Typical, isn't it? Anyway, so this was out. I took the grub screw out, and now we're going to pull this all out, clean it up with some emery cloth, and put it back in again. And wash it all out. Wash it all out, and then put it back in again. Get it right. So put a new O-ring on here, and now I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the shaft all the way along. I'm going to put some grease in the hole both sides and also at the end. Now usually these get splash fed, but obviously with having the O-ring in the end it didn't get any oil at all. Next thing the little grub screw, we've washed it off and we're going to put just a little bit of Loctite, not so much on my fingers. It seems to get everywhere, doesn't it? Right, we'll put that onto there. Now I've got more on my fingers than on the bloody screw, look. That's how it happens, isn't it? So we'll get that started. Push this through. And we'll, just before we put the end on, ooh, maybe put a bit too much grease in the end of there. Wait a minute. Ooh, I maybe put too much grease in the end cap. Just a second. Yeah. That's better. I had too much grease in the end. So that's nice and free now. That's how it should be. So then we can put this piece on, push that in, and then wind down the grub screw. Now it does take a bit of figuring out and finding where the actual hole is. It does move around a bit. But you'll feel it, because if you see the grub screw is sticking out too much, it's not in the hole. It should actually go flush like that. And then give it a nip up. Just make sure it's still free. Now, a little bit of sealer on the face. I'll put this on with my finger, so, because otherwise, because these are metal to metal contacts, they it does tend to splay out quite a bit, and they are good, nice machined faces. So you don't want it everywhere. You just want a very thin smear. I know you shouldn't really put it on with your fingers, but what are we supposed to do? There we go. Make sure that you've got a nice even cover all the way around. Like I say, you don't need much. I mean, I've seen people put this on, blather it on, and then it all gets put in squidges inside. So line up your slot, most importantly. There we go. Now it's most important you start all the bolts off before you tighten them down. Don't just tighten one down, because you'll never get all the rest in. Where's the other one gone? No, here we go. I'm just going to whiz these down on a low setting on this gun, and then I'll torque them down. It's just to show you guys that this is actually working. That's what it should do. So, total cost, one O-ring, 10 cents, 5p. Wasn't too much, was it? But peace of mind. And you can see here, even though I was very meagre with putting the sealer on, you can still see how it's squidged out, but it's not going all over the place. Sound effects too. I won't even charge you for that. So, the next thing to do on this is I've got to replace the seal for here. That's kind of easy, nobody needs to know anything about that. And then this transfer box is done. So, I hope you like that. That's made this transfer box better, which is going to make the Land Rover better, which is going to make my life a little bit better as well. So, hope you like that. We'll chat to you later. It was just a quickie, but something that's greatly overlooked. Alright, ta-da!